Okay, to add to this thread, I have prepared another set of presentations uh, to show other situations in which constraint solver and design doctor fails to update properly and validate the assembly. So, if you remember the assembly with the flexible bolt, I have prepared it here. While I have this problem opened as a support case in this subscription I have, Autodesk customer support member contacted me, and he showed me that if I update the geometry and then the bolt is forced out to the range that it has set in the flexible sub, and then when you decrease the thickness of the piece, then the assembly updates. Okay, so basically he showed me that this bolt has a range constraint. Where it is? Is a range constraint, and it can accommodate thicknesses of the material between 1 and 18 millimeters. So currently this is 11. So if I add 9, I will be if I add 7, I will be at the edge. If I add more than 7 to the thickness, I will be out of the range. So if I go here, I have prepared this extrusion. So if I go here and if I specify, let's say 1 plus 9, then the thickness of the material is greater than the bolt can accommodate. So from here to there we now have 20, and he showed me that if I now decrease the thickness to something that the bolt can accommodate, so let's say 1 plus 7, we now should have 18 here. So now the design doctor updates the assembly properly, and the flexible bolt is not causing any problem. So I thought, what can I show, and what can be proposed here to show this works different in different situations, although it should work the same. So I have prepared this element here that has an angle defined, so I can rotate the face of the piece, so it is not parallel to the other one, so it forces the constraint to be not valid. So I will now go back to the 90. Okay. And for comparison, I have the other piece here that I have set up, and there is an angle here that defines the angle between these two faces. So I have these flexible bolts pre-constrained here, so they are constrained, so the axis, where is it? So the axis of the bolt is in the axis of the hole, and then there are two made constraints between the faces of these elements and the washers. So what I will do now, I will rotate this piece 185. So as you can see now, this piece should now have 185 angle, so it should be a little open, but the constraint solver said it is not possible. It is correct. Now we have the design doctor showing the offending constraint. Everything is fine. I will now decrease the angle to 180, and everything is brought back. What happens if I change the angle to 0? So I flip. So now the design doctor says it is a problem. The constraint solver brought up the warning. Okay, I made a mistake. I want to undo it. But this time, design doctor does not update properly. So if I have changed the angle from 180 to 185, it then did update properly when I changed it back to 180. But when I changed it to 0, then it didn't didn't update well when I have changed it to 180, which is the proper value for this assembly. So now we have no offending constraint, but we have a design doctor that shows us the inconsistent relationship within the flexible assembly. So according to the design doctor, some of those constraints are now not as they should be for this layout of the assembly, which is obviously nonsense, because everything is fine. It was fine just a second ago. I will now undo that twice. I hope it will work. So I will now change it to 185. It brings an error. It brings that the warning, but now the warning is about this constraint. I cancel that. I will change it back to 180. So it is now fine. The bolt is like that. If I change it to 0 again, it brings up a warning. It is showing the offending constraint, and plus other constraints, plus these constraints. But when I change it back to 180, it should be okay, but it is not. Still, the design doctor thinks the flexible assembly is causing a problem. So this is one inconsistency that still is here, and obviously it is a bug, because if I have the assembly in the position, it should be possible to solve it, and it is not solved. This is a problem. This is an obvious problem. So join me on the next video that I will show you the other thing.